Hello and welcome to Laser Coaching by Leaders, best practices and demonstrations to support employee performance and well-being. So in today's highly educational discussion on laser coaching and related role plays, Kim Goeltom and I are going to be sharing some best practices that leaders might embrace and engage to adopt a coach mindset and approach with their employees. So for context, this topic was inspired by our upcoming Leader Turn Coach course that's happening on March 13th and 20th, 2025 from 9 to 1 p.m. both days. And we really hope that you'll get a lot of inspiration from what you're going to see in this discussion and our coaching demonstrations. And maybe it might inspire you to look into the Leader Turn Coach course if you're a leader at any level, and then hopefully register. And both Kim and I are two of the 5 facilitators in our upcoming offering. Okay, and also there will be a link to a free educational PDF in the show notes, and I really encourage you to check that out as well. You can also get it by signing up for our interest list on our course page, and a 13-page PDF that talks about how to cultivate a coaching culture in your organization or maybe client organization. And also it speaks to the value of establishing in-house peer coaching programs or internal coaching programs and even wellness buddy programs. And Kim's a graduate of all our certification programs in workplace wellness, so she knows all too well about what I'm talking about here. Now, before we dive into our discussion, I'd like to introduce both Kim and myself. So Kim is a graduate, as I said, of our programs, and she's a seasoned executive coach and workplace wellness consultant who, leveraging her 20-year corporate background, collaborating with HR directors, talent development, VPs and CEOs, she's helped transform the lives of executives and managers and their teams through tailored wellness coaching and robust workplace wellness initiatives. And she's also featured in our book, Cultivating Healthy and Vibrant Workplaces, and you can connect with her on LinkedIn. And again, I'll put her link in the show notes. And I am Lisa Kelly, the founder of the Workplace Wellness Center of Excellence. I'm an executive coach, a wellness specialist, nutritionist, personal trainer, just about every kind of wellness certification. I think I have it. I'm also a wellness certification program trainer and provider and a creator, I guess co-creator, if you will, of the Leader Turn Coach course, because we've had a lot of hands involved in it. Before we get into the 2 coaching demonstrations that Kim and I are going to, I guess, role play, if you will, I thought we would just talk first about laser coaching fundamentals, some benefits and some strategies and best practices. So what is laser coaching, or client-centered laser coaching, as we like to call it? Well, it's a really focused, targeted, and expedient coaching process that really helps clients, and the leaders, right, in this case, reveal their inner truths, their desires, their needs and challenges. And so it really does help, again, employees, because we're going to be talking about laser coaching in the context of coaching that transpires between a leader and their report or whomever, someone under their, care. And so laser coaching really does help clients, or in this case, employees, illuminate their innate wisdom and ability to identify solutions to challenges they may be experiencing, or some, performance related issues, or just areas of growth and development that they need help and mentoring and support with, or coaching from their employer or their leader, if you will. It's usually focused around a performance or a wellness development need and goal. And we talk more about the value and importance of leaders and employees identifying wellness goals in their, performance development plans, if you will, every year, right? And so we talk a lot about that, and even give you a workshop on how to do that in our book. And the laser coaching sessions generally run from about 20 to 30 minutes over maybe a period of weeks or months. And Kim, from your experience, would you say that's pretty accurate in terms of, that span of time? What do you, when you do a laser, or let me just ask, do you enter into some coaching sessions as a, laser coaching session, if you will?
Absolutely. There's some times where you're, on site at an office and you're walking and, it's a walking 15, 20-minute laser coaching session. And that's all the time that one has. And you take advantage of every minute. Leaders are so busy and there's so many employees to keep up with, whether it's in person or, virtual. And when you can have those 15, 20-minute or even 30-minute, if you have that much extra time, can really make a tremendous impact.
Nice, absolutely. Yeah. And also my other point here is that laser coaching may include a midweek check-in, say through text, email, or phone calls, as negotiated upfront between, say, a coach and their client. But in the case of an employer or a leader and maybe an employee they're coaching, you may as a leader, and we'll maybe show examples of this later on, you may as a leader say, hey, would it work for you if I checked in next week just to see how you're feeling about our conversation and if there's anything I can help you with, right? And, is that something you've done as well, or encouraged even leaders to do when you're communicating with them on this topic?
Absolutely. I think it's another form of accountability. And, coaching itself helps create that ownership within the person that's being coached. And so having that touch point is a way for them to, really live up to what they want to do and just take on that, more self-empowerment.
Yeah, and I bet your, employees or whomever you coach, they probably really appreciate that, touch point, that extra touch point, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because life happens. We're busy. Stuff happens, right? There might be something that comes up, and then when we have the touch point, they're like, I've been meaning to get onto that, and I haven't, but thank you so much
Well,
for reminding me.
there you
And now I
go.
want to, right? And it's okay because we're human, right? It's not a negative thing. It's okay. This is the point. How can we then, pivot and get back on track to,
Yeah.
reaching the goals that we each desire?
Absolutely, because that's a good point. There's two things you might want to touch on, or just,
Yeah.
ask how it's going in terms of one, and I do this with my clients and executives I coach is, just touch on how are things going with your goals this week. And, just as a reminder, have in mind, especially in laser coaching, have in
Yeah.
mind a goal or a need or something that you want us to talk about, because you don't have a lot of time in 20 to 30 minutes to identify what your challenge is. You really need to give
Mhm.
that a lot of thought before the meeting, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So, what are some benefits of laser coaching? And Kim, jump in here at any point. Well, they really do help too. And again, we're setting the context here now in the relationship between a leader and, say, their direct report. Let's just say who they would be, engaging in some form of performance coaching, if you will, right? And,
Yeah.
performance coaching slash wellness coaching. I mean, leaders are not going to be really skilled or certified. Some may be, but they're probably not going to be really highly skilled or certified or seasoned coaches, either in performance or in wellness. But as we know, like our well-being, right? We've used the
Yeah.
term bring your whole self to work, right? And so
Yeah.
we don't, and some organizations are really good at this. They have a culture for this. So in terms of the benefits of laser coaching, it helps to address the self-limiting beliefs and mindsets that can inhibit, say, an employee's ability to achieve his needs or wants or desires or goals. May even be a process that helps them illuminate. Maybe they're just not sure what their challenge is, and it just helps them illuminate by having a discussion with their leader, if you will. So it really does help to heighten self-awareness, maybe identify the blind spots that they're not
Yeah.
aware of in their performance, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it can help them address and deal with challenges in the moment. And as I said, facilitate clarity of issues. And it's really that open forum. And as we talk about as coaches, when you're working with a client or an employee in this case, you want to have that rapport building. And that might sound odd because you think, well, there should be a good rapport, right, between an employer leader and their employee, but not always, because you're going to kind of get on a different level with them now. Would you say
Mhm.
that's pretty accurate there, Kim?
Oh, yeah.
Hearing.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, so this laser coaching really just helps to really, more so than just general coaching, it's laser, it's really laser focused. You come in with a set need or challenge, or the leader may have one they want to address with the employee, and in a very non-threatening way, if you will, right? But
Yeah.
it really does help the client to focus their energy and their focus and then their overall well-being, because if there's a performance issue, it will affect their well-being,
Hmm.
their mental,
Absolutely.
and any examples come to mind or thoughts when I'm sharing that you could speak to that of a client or experience?
Absolutely. And just to even kind of back up just a moment, something that was coming up for me that I was thinking about is, if a leader says, hey, I want to sit down with you and talk to you about your workload or a situation, right? And they know that they're going to be having a 20 or 30-minute laser coaching session versus an hour behind closed doors meeting, which obviously is beneficial for the leaders, because obviously there's never enough time in a day. And for the employee, that can actually give them a little peace of mind. Okay, I've got 20, 30 minutes, so I'm going to be prepared. It helps them actually digest the process rather than, oh my gosh, I've got this hour behind closed doors. So,
Yeah.
it shifts perspective and
Yeah.
helps create that ownership again for the employee. But yeah, as far as an example, I can think of, where I've been on site doing a workplace wellness program, and then something happened, behind the scenes, and the leader was like, okay, we need to address this now. It can't wait 24 hours, but did take them, to another space, where they had privacy, and they were able to have a 20-minute conversation. And instead of it being, here's all the things that you need to improve upon, it was turned into a coaching session. And I'm sure having the workplace wellness program, top of mind, and everything we were talking about
Yes.
really helped. But it actually changed the dynamic of the outcome of the employee. So it actually, they felt more inspired. They were able to come up with ideas, and it was their ideas.
Yeah.
And so because it was their ideas, they had a higher interest in wanting to pursue and move the needle forward in that
Yeah.
goal,
Higher
which is
agency, as
really
we say
nice.
it. Yeah, higher
Yeah.
agency and ownership, and some use the word accountability, ownership for sure.
Yeah.
And just quickly, I can't help but think as you're saying all this that, and this probably goes without saying, of course. And Carm, he's a
Yeah.
former hospital CEO who will be one of the facilitators and helped co-create this Leader Turn Coach course, and will be facilitating with us in March offering. Um, he often speaks to his formative years and training and development to the coach that he is today through working with other executive coaches back when he was, in VP roles or CEO role. So I was going to say, I can't help but think that the leaders that you've probably coached,
Mhm.
they're going to, obviously pick up on how you coach and acquire and just get some insights around coaching skills for their own, with their employees, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, Gabrielle mentioned in one of the other podcast interviews we did as a panel, which I encourage you to check out in our podcast series. Um, she said that one of her clients, a leader, just to that point, who she coached, actually said, like, I'm really excited. I want to become a coach myself, right? And I mean, like she said, that's kind of music to your ears, right? As a
Yeah,
coach, right? Yeah, so some
absolutely.
other benefits of laser coaching. As we said, it's a really focused and expedient coaching process. It really does put, as we said already, I think, put the employee in this case in the driver's seat, right?
Yeah,
And really enhances their awareness. Again, it inspires their agency, and they'll talk about that hopefully with their leader
yeah,
and their ownership and accountability. But it also, that whole process, and I've really never thought about it until just now, and looking at one of my bullet points here, that whole process helps it can be really a transferable skill, right? In
hmm
terms of when they've tackled something and addressed something and had a really positive outcome.
yeah,
Again, that reinforces that agency that I can do that again when another issue comes
hmm
up, and they may or may not need the help of their leader then, right? And
correct.
it could be a whole host of things, because invariably in our job, we are always running against, brick walls or something that gives us some pause, right?
Yeah,
So,
or
and
it
I
might
really,
even, sorry,
yeah, but
I was to say,
no,
or it might even cause them to come up with solutions to then present to the leader, to
yeah,
get validation on first before moving forward. But
yeah,
they're bringing the solutions rather than always asking for the solutions,
yeah.
because now they're
Well,
feeling empowered to do
yeah.
so.
My leader years ago, when I was in a work term before I graduated, said, bring me, as we say, bring me the solutions, not the problems, right? So,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, so what's the coach's role in laser coaching? And again, when we say coach, in this case, we're talking about the leader, right? So,
yeah,
again, it's not a lot different from, say, a coach and a coachee relationship, right?
right.
You, as a leader, are going to help your employee illuminate and uncover. some personal truths, and that might sound a little ominous, but when we think about it, right, really not. And around what their desires, needs, and challenges are, how you as a leader can help them, right? And really, it can just set up a really beautiful, open, authentic relationship between a leader and their employees, right?
Yeah.
And I think as a leader, as you would with a coach, it's really around, and we get a lot more into this in leader turned coach and help you gain skill sets in doing all this. And believe me, in a few days of a workshop, and there's other training that goes with it. But you as a leader can help your employees become aware of maybe self-limiting beliefs that may be inhibiting or contributing to a destructive mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you also help them, and we talk about this, and this is really important in all levels of coaching, regardless who's being coached and who's doing the coaching, is to be mindful that your goals are probably framed around, like we all know, the SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Because again, when we're setting goals, particularly again, I guess between a leader and their employee, if it's a performance related goal, then we need to have some measures and metrics in place and some timelines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, for accountability and outcomes. So what are some best practices and tips and strategies, again, for leaders who might like to engage in laser coaching? Well, excuse me, it's, again, as we said earlier, to encourage their employee to have framed out what the specific challenge is, if it's something that the employee is asking to meet with the leader. But again, in the same way, if it's the leader who wants to meet with their employee, then really be really clear on what it is, and have it framed in a way that obviously is non-threatening to the employee, because that serves no one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for your questioning, keep them open-ended, keep them probing type questions. Try and refrain from the closed questions or directive, like yes, no type of questions, right? Engage in appreciative inquiry, which we'll get into more in the course should you come into it. And ask those empowering questions, and listen with the heart and an open mind. Be an active listener. Listen more than you speak, of course, and allow ample airtime for the person you're working with or coaching to come up with a response. Help your employees see how reframing their thinking about a situation or problem or challenge, whatever it may be, can create, that new feelings, but really lead to those positive actions and desired outcomes, and be a win-win for everyone. Anything else you want to add there or comment further on?
Yeah, I think this is where we start to really think about the words that we use and
Yeah.
how they are conveyed. And just kind of going back a moment to the questions you were sharing, like asking the open-ended questions, like the hows and the whats, so that the, employee in this case could have more of an expanded, answer. So then there's more to go from with the leader versus a closed question. And same thing with the, this is always a controversial question in coaching, but the word why. Right? Because
Yeah.
why can put someone on defensive.
Yes.
Why did you do this? Why was it that way? Right? And I'm laughing about it, but when you're in those, intense scenarios and the employee is wanting to strive to do better, right? Then that can put more pressure on the employee. And then when they are feeling more pressure, they're not hearing, they're
Yeah.
not absorbing, right? And that's where the laser coaching with really mindful language can
Yeah.
be so impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Mindful, respectful language. And to add to what you said, when the employee is feeling on the defensive, I'm not saying that any leader would intentionally do that,
Oh, of course not. Never.
but
No.
when they are, through just maybe it's a way the question was asked, or it's an area that they're really, as an employee, are not comfortable going to, um, it can just really put up that wall. And then that
Yeah.
just really inhibits their ability to identify those solutions. Because with all coaching, it's really, solution driven and action driven. And that really is placed on the shoulders of the
Mm-hmm.
employee. Now, there
Yeah.
are times when we may, as a leader, as a coach, say, hey, I'm going to step into a mentor or advising role now. And I'll sometimes even put my hats
Yeah.
on and off when I'm doing that. And is that okay with you? Ask the employee, right? And we may get into that when we do our coaching demonstrations in a minute. But really help the employee or the client, whoever, see the big picture for themselves, and that will again instill that motivation and confidence, right?
Yeah.
And it really help them set realistic expectations and outcomes, right? Because there's no point in setting these lofty goals if they're just
Yeah.
not attainable. That's where the
Yeah.
SMART, do that checks and balances with the SMART acronym, right, for setting the goals. And also paraphrasing, and hopefully we'll use examples of that in our coaching demonstration. Paraphrasing and asking those clarifying questions just to make sure that what you think you're hearing is actually, what the intention is of the person on the other end, right?
Yeah.
And the client may say, or the employee may say, no, that's not at all what my issue is. And that's okay, and they may be that blunt, right? But that's
Yeah.
good. That helps to just, clarify the air and clear the air, right?
Definitely.
Um, yeah. Anything else before we move on?
No. Well, yes. One other thing I was thinking is this is something, as long as privacy can be maintained, you could even, run into an employee at the water cooler and have this as a conversation. This could be,
Okay.
a designated time that you're meeting maybe weekly,
Yeah.
and you're taking it, during a non-peak, time period, and well, let's walk around the building, right? And
Yeah. Oh, I
having
love
that
walking
laser
meetings.
coaching. Yeah.
Yeah, I think walking meetings are great. Let's go for a 20-minute walk, get some exercise in, and we can, you know, talk about things as well, right? And it doesn't have to be, framed as a really formal type of initiative or engagement, right? It really
Yeah.
doesn't. Just it will be dictated by the leader and how the
Yep.
leader sets the tone, right?
Sure.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So all that to say now, are you ready? We're going to get into a
Sounds
coaching
good.
demonstration. So Kim, thank you for meeting with me today.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Doing okay. I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Good, me too. So I just want to say that I know that transitioning to a sales trainer role, you've only been in it a few months, it can be really challenging and daunting. And at first, I want to acknowledge that you stepped up to the plate because we had someone go unexpectedly, and you stepped into this role without a lot of preparation time or even training time. So I really want to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you came to me, to review your progress and to address some challenges that you're experiencing. So, just to begin, help me to understand, what exactly are some challenges you're experiencing, and how you're feeling about the hurdles you're facing, so that we can really focus on solutions. So, does that sound like a good place to start?
That sounds like a great place to start. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just not feeling like I'm able to get everything done that I need to do to prepare and effectively give these presentations.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, right now, as I understand it, and looking at your goals, you're creating a series of training modules. And I believe maybe it came across in an email from you that you're just feeling that you may be failing, in your role, that you're just not maybe connecting, or just not really feel that you're connecting with the people you're training with, and that what you're delivering on is just not resonating with them. And so, and I can appreciate, you're new in the role, so I can appreciate why you'd have, that concern, right? So
Absolutely.
where do you think maybe this concern or self-doubt is coming from? What's making you feel overwhelmed, really?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I feel like a fish out of water, and I feel like when I am presenting, I don't know if it's just everybody in the room is bored. I'm not conveying well enough, right? I mean, I'm the first one to be like, okay, it must be me. Is it my voice? Is it my outfit? Like, is it right? I don't, is it just how I'm delivering the presentation? I try to make them interactive and so that there's engagement, but then I don't get a lot of people. So then I feel like I have to, get volunteers to, kind of be pushed into responding. And then I don't know, just kind of like this deer with headlights glaze. So something is just not, it's just something's not connecting. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just very overwhelming.
Yeah. And you've done training before, so it's not your first time delivering training. Is it, um, is it a possibility that, and you can clarify and elaborate on this, that the training, are the training materials, being new to you? Are they causing you some issues, the subject matter?
Probably because it is all brand new and I haven't had as much time to really absorb and kind of even, practice on my own before delivering in person with the staff. So
Right.
that can be a little intimidating just because
Sure.
this has been, so quick.
Yeah, new quick transition. Are there any particular tasks that you feel, you may be lacking or that you need some training in or skills?
Uh, I don't even know where to begin right now. It's just so overwhelming. And normally I would say that I'm very organized, but I am struggling with how to organize the flow of these presentations and to making sure that it's well received.
Okay, alrighty. So just to recap, what I'm hearing you say so far that, in this new role that you're feeling a lot of doubt and overwhelmed, that you are not sure how you're being received, and if the materials and the topics and this what you're training is resonating with your trainees, and and that maybe, I guess, maybe you feel like you may be letting them down. Would that be
Oh,
fair
of
assessment?
course. Yeah,
Yeah,
because that's the last thing I want to do. I don't want them to feel like they're taking time out of their busy days, and for it to be wasted and not feel that it's effective. So
yeah,
that really frustrates me because I want to do a good job and I want to make sure that the information is, conveyed. And I worry, am I delivering too much information in the presentation? So I'm causing, overwhelm, but then they really need to know everything, to do their job. So what do I cut out? So I'm not really sure, how to move forward on that.
yeah. Well, first, as your leader, I just want to acknowledge. I really want to commend you on coming to me, and at the outset, coming to me with your concerns and frustrations, right? Because oftentimes employees will let it go so long, and then it's a lot harder to remedy, right? So I really
Yeah.
want, and I just know that you can always come to me. I have an open door policy, as you know,
Yeah.
and I appreciate having these engagements with my direct reports, so that maybe there's a thing or two I can share that might help you along the way, right? So I want to just, I appreciate your trust in sharing your feelings with me, right, and discussing
Thank you.
what we're discussing. So, given all that we shared so far, how might I help you in this new role? Was there something I can do personally to help you?
Yeah, I'd love your guidance on what I can do better to make sure that these presentations are valued by the staff that is participating.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you first. What do
Okay.
you think? And we can talk about this. And what do you think, given, you've been at this a few months now and your experiences, what's one thing that you think you could do right now to put you more at ease? Because maybe it's just a case of maybe you're doing fine. It's just maybe, personal doubts and insecurities, right? So what's something
See?
that you think you could do to, I guess, confirm if what you're feeling is actually the case, right?
Well, I don't think we've put together feedback surveys, but maybe that might be a good place to start. Because
Right?
then, yeah, I mean, maybe it's my self-confidence. I didn't
Yeah,
think it was, but maybe.
right. Yeah, good point. And I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't want to mention, I wanted to see if that's something that because it's important for you to come up with these, solutions, if you want to call it that, that obviously that you can take some ownership and feel it as something that you're prepared to take action on, right?
Yeah,
So, okay, so
absolutely.
the feedback surveys, what do you think you might glean from them? Should we do them?
Um, you mean like particular questions?
Yeah, or just how we approach it, how we do it, like at the end of a training session or
Oh,
follow.
yeah. I think at the end of a session would be really good. That way it's top of mind.
Right.
And maybe they could, have like a rating scale. Maybe there could be, you know, um, based on other presentations that they've had at the office, at the company versus mine? How did that compare?
Yeah.
Was the material on par for what they need or what they wanted to
Hmm.
get out of it?
Right.
Um, I'm trying to think of how to, make it objective.
Right.
Did
Yeah.
you like the trainer's outfit, right?
Yeah. Well, certainly a
Uh,
rating scale, maybe, you can
yeah.
open-ended questions and some closed-ended questions and a rating scale. And then, if I may suggest, then also, what are a couple, two or three things that Kim could do to improve and enhance her delivery or meeting your needs,
Yes.
if you will, right?
I would love that. Yes, very
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
Okay, so I think this is great, and I think, I don't want to overload you with too many things. I think,
Okay.
would it work for you to, or let me just ask, do you think you have the skill set and background to do up a feedback survey to present to me then that we can review? Or do you need some help with that?
No, I could definitely collate that material information and then be able to let you know what I've learned.
Okay, and should you need some help, we have a great training and development department here, as you know, so I
Yeah,
could certainly get someone to work with you on it or review your first draft and I will do the same, right? And
absolutely.
I think that would be a really great start. And then let's just put some parameters around that now. So, when do you think you would be able to get a draft ready and sent to me for review?
Um, well, I have two workshops next week.
Okay.
So if I can get surveys created and, handed out after
Mhm.
those workshops, then by the following Monday, I could certainly do
Okay.
that.
Perfect. And as you said, you have a couple workshops coming up. Is there
Yep.
anything I could do or someone else, another, experienced seasoned trainer in our department, provide you with some help in getting ready or even in the delivery of those upcoming sessions?
Yeah, if I could forward you my outline to get your feedback, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah, good. And should you again decide that, yeah, I would like to have someone come in and shadow me and maybe give me some
Oh,
post session feedback, and I would even be glad to do that myself if you felt comfortable with me in the room. Otherwise, we can have someone else. It's completely up to you, right?
I would welcome that. That would be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's think about it and then
Mm-hmm.
get back to me in an email if you would like
Okay.
someone there, and we'll make the arrangements to have someone assigned to those events, right?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so how are you feeling now so far? Because we've covered off a lot and we've got some action steps being the feedback survey. Um, do you think this is a good place for us to end our discussion today? Is there anything else you would like to discuss? Any other concerns or issues?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to sending over the outline, and I really do like the idea of having you or someone else, depending upon schedules, attend, so
Right.
they can give me, feedback in real time, but then also the surveys. So I think that's going to be really insightful, so that you know, I can know which direction I've got to go, or if I'm just getting in my head.
Yeah, yeah. And if it's okay with you, after I have these types of discussions with employees, I always like to check in a few days later. Would you mind if I checked in by email just to see how things are going, or if you have any questions, maybe regarding the development of the feedback survey? Does that
Yeah, I
work for
would
you?
welcome that.
Okay, good stuff. All right. And maybe next time we can do a walking meeting or something, just get out and
Okay.
enjoy this nice weather, right?
Yes.
So you've got that, you've got your goals in place and your steps, and I think that's great. And again, I want to commend you. For coming to me and bringing this to my attention. And I will be really mindful to stay on top of it, just to make sure that you're not feeling overwhelmed, because that's the last thing I want. And there's too many opportunities to support you. So, we want to make sure that you are feeling fully supported in your new role.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you very
Is there,
much.
anything else that you want to ask about or discuss, or you feel that this is a good place now to end our conversation?
Yeah, I think this is a good place to end.
Okay, well, thanks again, Kim. And as I said, know that you can come to me anytime. I'm always here to listen and support you. And as I like to say, together we'll find the solutions, right?
Yeah.
I'm very a fair leader, and I always want to do what's in the best interest of our employees and of course our organization's goals and objectives, right?
Yeah.
So thanks again, and I'll look forward to receiving your feedback survey.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Take care. Alrighty. Well, that just ended our first coaching demonstration. And I'm gonna just park the debrief. We're gonna actually do a little debrief on how we thought that it went. And as a listener, you'll get to evaluate how we did and maybe even send us some feedback. We're always open. We're always learning.
Yeah,
You're always on the learning curve, right? And
always.
so, yeah, so I think you did great. So thank you for that. So, we are now going to move into a second coaching demonstration with Kim as the leader, and I will be the employee. And we're gonna, I guess, just by way of setting this up, um, I'm. It's going to be more of a wellness type of wellness type of issue. I say performance too because, as I said earlier, when there's well-being issues, it
Yeah,
inherently affects our performance in one way or another, right? And
always.
so in this situation, I, being the employee, am really stressed about something, right? And yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life. And so we're going to see how Kim, as a leader, navigates this. And this is a trickier one. The performance ones, I think a lot of leaders, okay, that was great, Lisa and Kim. Covered off a lot of things and some things I didn't know and great reminders. But this is getting into muddy waters and muddy territory, right? When we're talking about the wellness and putting boundaries in place as leaders in terms of how much we're going to engage in a discussion with our employees on these topics.
Well, Lisa, it's wonderful to see you today. How are you doing?
I'm good, but to be honest, I'm really stressed. I'm stressed
Yeah,
here. I'm really
yeah. So tell me a little bit of what's happening that's, creating so much stress.
Oh, where do I begin? How long do we have? How long do we
We do
have?
only have 20 minutes, just to be mindful.
Oh boy. Okay. Okay. I'll keep it short. Um, as you know, we're preparing a big house move right now.
Yeah,
We just lost our dog.
yeah,
My job, my role, as you know, is a very demanding one. And plus, I have a sick family member. So I have so much going on right now that, to be honest, it's really impacting my focus and my ability to. I always like to give 120% of myself, and I feel like I may be giving 80%. And so I wanted to bring this to your attention for starters because you may have picked up on it. And even in our meetings, I've been a little reserved, which is not me typically. And I don't know if I'm even giving the best of myself to the work I'm doing. And it may even, I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer. It might even be that I need a leave of absence. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention and discuss it with you to the extent that you'd like feel comfortable chatting to me about it, right?
yeah, of course. No, thank you for bringing this to my attention. And I'm so sorry to hear about your dog and your sick family member. It sounds like you really do have a lot on your plate,
Yeah.
personally. Can you tell me a little bit about what's on your plate as far as your workload?
Yeah, well, as you know, I have as a corporate training director and the head of our training department, we're bringing on some new hires. We've got some new initiatives we're rolling out, new employee engagement survey that I have to be participating in, and on top of all my other duties, right? And so
Yeah,
there's a lot, and we're kind of running on a skeleton crew right now, as you know. So we've had some workforce reduction, so it's been a lot. Yeah, it's been a
yeah,
lot.
definitely. It sounds like that's a lot. And so knowing that you have a lot going on personally that's causing stress and making you feel concerned that you're not performing at your optimal level that you would like, and you
Mhm.
do have a lot, on your plate as far as your workload, what do you feel is um, manageable right now?
Um, I don't know. I have to think about that.
Yeah, take your
What do I
time.
feel is manageable? Well, as I just said, we've gone through a recent workforce reduction, but if there was any way I could have even a half-time person to help me with some of the administrative things that I used to have someone to take over and do perform for me. I myself and my colleagues now are doing that, but it's really put a strain on us. Aside from all the things going on personally, it's just one more thing that's adding to my stress because I find that doing all that, it's taking my eye off the bigger strategic pictures and the initiatives. And there's a lot of balls in the air, so I'm afraid something's going to drop and all the balls are going to drop pretty quickly soon.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so if the balls were to drop, what's going to be the first thing that's on your plate that's going to go?
Not intentionally,
Oh, of
but
course
it
not.
may mean that we postpone for 6 to 12 months some of the new initiatives that our employees are really wanting to see happen, our new training
Okay.
initiatives.
And just out of curiosity, based on your experience and what you're doing, if you did have to postpone something for a few months, how would that sit with you?
Um, well, I don't think it's a decision I can make unilaterally. I probably need to, you know, verify and ratify it with you. I wouldn't be happy. I would be much happier if I could get some extra help
Okay.
because I feel that there's a lot of training and development needs in our organization with,
Yeah.
with all the AI and everything coming on board. And we're just, as an organization, we're going to just really be behind the eight ball. I already feel we're a little bit there. And if I may be honest, I feel it's going to put us even more. And
Got
not
it.
just myself is feeling the stress, but my colleagues and our team, we're all feeling a heightened level of stress. And I'm
Yeah.
afraid that the balls are going to start dropping for them too. And heaven forbid we all clock out because we're sick or having to go on stress leave. It's going to really put the organization in a really untenable position at a time
Yeah.
when we need these training initiatives if we're going to progress and move forward in this competitive landscape that we're in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's wonderful to explore what these different possibilities might look like and to even see if there is even an ounce of possibility, right? And it sounds like moving in that direction would actually increase stress. And obviously the goal we would like is to, figure out how we can reduce your stress so
Yeah,
that things can feel more manageable.
yeah, yeah,
So when
yeah.
you think about this, and I know you mentioned a halftime person. So if
Mhm.
we were able to figure out a way to identify somebody who was able to work on a part-time basis to
Yeah.
support you with some of these different initiatives and things that are on your plate, tell me more about how that would impact your workload
Yeah.
and your well-being, if you
Yeah,
don't
no,
mind.
absolutely. I mean, as you know, you may have seen me, I'm clocking out some like 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night on top of everything else I've had to deal with. And I just feel that I need more me time, to be perfectly honest, to
Yeah,
sort recharge my batteries. And I know that's a very cliche term, but I really do
sure.
feel I'm in that because I feel I'm at the verge that if I don't take charge and start attending to my personal well-being and my emotional well-being, I may have to go on extended health leave. And that's just going to put my department further behind. So I just need more time. And by having that extra person, to be honest, when I'm remaining for those extra 3, 4 hours some nights, it's doing the administrative clerical things that a person who does this, that's their role and very skilled at
Yeah,
it. And probably half the time I'm doing it in,
yeah,
and all the training charts and everything else, and the communications that go out for our initiatives. So that would really emotionally and physically free up a lot of my time and that of my colleagues. And you'd be getting more return on your investment in doing that because you'd be able to really fully utilize and leverage the skills we have and get those training initiatives up and running on time.
absolutely. It sounds like this is something you've really been taking time to contemplate.
Yeah, I have, and I'm glad we're having this meeting today because I really feel that it needs, and I know, like I said, we just had a workforce reduction. So,
Yeah.
I don't want to suggest how you do your job or bring someone on board, but it could be maybe we bring in a temp person or maybe we second someone from another department. It may not mean having to hire someone, outside the organization necessarily, right? Or we,
Oh, of course. Yeah,
contract.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I just want to go back to this for a moment. If we were to be able to get this halftime person, based on the stress that you feel now, how would that stress be reduced?
Oh,
If you can
immeasurably.
give like a percentage, possibly.
Oh, it would be my stress would probably be cut in half for sure.
Okay.
And it's not just the stress of the work itself, it's the emotional toll knowing
Oh,
that
yeah.
I'm missing out time with my family. I'm missing out,
Yeah.
just even getting to the gym. That's a really important thing for me because I need that. It's what recharges my batteries. Most of my creative ideas come when I'm on the treadmill, and that has all
Yeah.
been forfeited in the past 6 months because I've had to stay behind, 2 or 3 evenings a week and get to do these administrative tasks, right?
Yeah, no, and I really appreciate you bringing that up and just, um, explaining in such detail how much this is impacting you and how it's changed things.
Yeah.
Because obviously, at the end of the day, we want you to, feel supported, but also well rested, lots of creative ideas,
Yeah.
and being able to do your job, effectively and at the level that you're used to bringing.
Well, you
And I
know
can
me. I've been
see,
with, yeah, I've been
yeah,
with, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I've been with this
you're fine.
organization a long time, and I've rose
Yeah.
ranks to the,
Yeah.
director of our training department, and just know that if there was any other way I could work around this, I would, and I would not even be bothering you. But I'm at this point that I know I'm at a breaking point, and then something has to give.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can go ahead and make this happen. And we could probably have it start happening next Monday,
Oh, lovely.
giving you that support person. Because I do have a relationship with a temp agency that we could be able to do
Yeah.
that. And then just, yeah, we can make that happen. So my question for you would be, well, first off, is that enough time to get you prepared, for somebody to support you?
To onboard someone, absolutely. I'll make it happen, even if it means spending a few nights next week. It'll be well worth it to
Okay.
for them to come on board, or I'll even if I got to put in time this weekend, if I meant getting them on Monday, I'll make it happen.
Okay. And then what else would you need from me or anyone else on the team to be able to, get this person up to speed and start helping you to get more me time?
Well, I think that's I appreciate your asking that, because I think as I see it, we would need them probably not almost full time for a week or two, uh,
Okay.
just so they could work with me and others in the team, just to get really grounded in what's expected of them, and get them, caught up, so that we're not, losing too much productive time here. And then after that, once they get, if we got the right person, which I'm sure you'll hire a good candidate, then they could probably go into a half-time role. So I guess if we could get them at least for a couple of weeks on a full-time basis, that would be really helpful.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll see what I can do about that. Um,
And if not, then that's fine. But it would really, if I could put in a wish list, that would be it.
of course. Absolutely. No, I appreciate that for sure. Okay. So do you feel like having this new halftime person is going to be enough to get you more of that free time so that you
Mm,
can reduce the stress and get back to feeling, creative, inspired, and,
mhm.
also giving you time at home to do all the things that you want to
Yeah.
do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I know that's coming from really heart-centered place. So I really appreciate your asking that. Let's just try the 10 person first.
Okay.
And then if I feel more is needed, then I'll bring it to your attention.
Okay.
But I don't want to ask too much of the company, and I don't want to put too many things in place. That I'd rather just address that first, get this person trained up, and see then
Yeah.
if how things progress, and if we need any additional help from you, or it may mean that we defer some initiatives for a short time period. We'll see, but we'll just see where things how things progress.
Okay. Sounds like
Yeah.
a plan. And then would it be okay if I were to check in with you sometime mid next week just to
Yeah.
kind of see how things are going with the new person and if we're, on the right path with them or if we need to, switch gears?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think it would be good too if this person was introduced maybe by you to others in our team. I may not have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time to do that. And
Sure.
yeah, and I think that it will be a two-way relationship between that person and myself, and maybe that person and you, if that works for you as well. And so I think that would be good, so that there's no misunderstandings, everyone's on board.
Absolutely. No, that sounds like a great plan. And I'd be more than happy to introduce the new person and make sure that everybody's on the same page and understanding where they are. And I really appreciate you bringing this to my attention. I know you've been working so hard, day in, day out. And I don't think I realized, all the different ways it was impacting you. And so being able to have this conversation today has really given me insight into that so that I can be better set up to support you and making sure that we do have everything that we need to get all of our initiatives in by the end of the year too.
Yeah, yeah, and I appreciate that. I thank you, and thank you for taking the time. And um, I know that you're always approachable, and I appreciate that you care and concern. You care about us, and and you want to help us, support us. So that goes a long way with me. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Anything else from me before I let you get back to all the things you're juggling?
No, I'll just let you know that if I find I still need additional help and support, I will bring it to your attention. And just knowing I have your back and your support at this time when
Hmm.
there's a lot happening, then that really does mean a lot. In a corporate landscape that and it's not always the case. I do appreciate that you are who you are.
Well, thank you. And likewise, thank you for
Yeah.
being so vulnerable and sharing with me today. I appreciate
Yes.
that as well.
Alrighty. Take care.
Thanks.
Good.
And
Okay.
scene.
End scene. Yeah. So hopefully to our audience, our listeners, whether you're listening or watching, that we gave you some coaching tips, some insights, maybe some inspiration, motivation as a leader, maybe initiate a call or a conversation. And that, speaking of call or conversation, ideally, if you can do these face to face, through Zoom, if you're working hybrid, remote, or on site, I think it's good. I know sometimes we're not always comfortable, so you may want to go to a phone call, and so certainly do what works for you. But if it's out of your comfort zone, maybe see if you can go a little outside your comfort zone and do it face to face. Because you can, I never talked about body language and all these things. And there's things like they may be saying something, but their body language is saying something else, right? And that's
Yeah.
all part of being a good coach, right? Anything you want to say or add to that, Kim?
I was going to just to emphasize, yeah, it's the emotions, right? What are the
Mm.
emotions that are being displayed on the coachee's face, and are they in alignment with the words and how they're responding?
Yeah,
It makes such a big difference because
yeah.
I call it the ecological check, right? It's they might say one thing because they think that's what we want to hear, but then you see them, physically like, "Ugh," or something,
Yeah.
is something has changed to realize that the words and the body and the emotions are
Oh,
not in
no,
alignment.
and not only that, the two-way, because I'm looking at you and you just have such, I always tell you this, you have such a beautiful presence about you and such
Oh,
a
thank you.
beautiful smile, and you can see the warmth and care just coming from your face, and by as a leader, if you're that way inclined or try to be, then
Yeah.
that goes a long way and just helping settle any anxiety that the, employee may have, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, thinking back, and I know we're going to be critiquing, not critiquing, but just assessing, things
Yeah.
you did and what aspects of the coaching process felt good for you. And we can just go back and forth between the two, our two coaching sessions. So, is there something that you felt, how did you feel being on the receiving end as a coachee or an employee, in the firm?
Yeah. I
And
really
then,
liked Yeah, I really liked how you set the stage for the coaching session. So it was clear why we were having this connection, what was, the framework. You really drove how that was, just the feeling of being supported and that it
Mhm.
was a safe space
Okay.
to, share and to be vulnerable, and that it wasn't gonna, this wasn't something that if I shared too much, I was gonna jeopardize my job. It was all about how can we work together
Yeah.
to support you in growing to do better. Or
Yeah.
even how you brought up, well, maybe it has nothing to do with performance, right? This could all be just someone getting in their head and low self-esteem and confidence, because it's something new that they feel like a fish out of the water. And so I've just felt like that whole experience felt very nurturing and supportive.
Oh, okay. Good. Good. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, yeah, I guess if I were to say one thing I felt I did well too, that I tried to make sure I do, and I try to do often, is that paraphrasing, right? And I said,
Yeah.
just see that I'm clear on where things are, right? And I sort of paraphrased and brought everything to surface, just because again, sometimes when we do that, the employee or coachee may say, like, no, you're totally off base. That's
Right.
not at
Right.
all what I'm experiencing, right? And you say, oh, okay, well
Sure.
then let's try and unpack this a little bit more, right? And drill down to
Yeah.
what's actually really happening so we can both move forward here. I think that's really, really important. And and to your point, when you're coaching, I think what I liked as well was you kept asking, like, is there anything else I can do for you? And I thought, wow, I thought the first offer was pretty good, but I thought, well, this leader really cares, right?
Yeah.
Um, was there any moments that might have seemed unclear to you in the coaching process, either of the two situations?
Um, I wouldn't say unclear,
Mhm.
but I did like in our scenario where I was the coach, where you were getting strong
Mhm.
about, very passionate about what was important to you, and
Mhm.
still, I think that was it. I think that was good, and it was a way for us to kind of, like I kind of put out like that worst case scenario, like, well, what if we just put a pause, and you're like, whoa, that's not going to be the answer. But at the same time, I think that was a great way to explore awareness
Yeah.
for both the
Yeah.
leader, maybe to be reminded of some of the different projects or even the financial impact that those projects might have.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's juggling, let's say, I don't know, 150 employees, they might not have all of these things, at the top of their mind.
Yeah.
And that was a great refresher. But also, like if you think about emotional intelligence and being mindful of my own emotions, being
Yeah.
mindful of your emotions. Okay, but we're also going back to stress. So it was a really nice dance with,
Yeah.
understanding on both sides and then determining, like from my perspective, the reason I had said, well, we're just going to go ahead and do this. I'm thinking, if we have to spend $10,000, for the next quarter,
Mhm.
to have a temp on board, so that you can bring in this big initiative by the end of the year with the team, right? That sounds like it's probably going to generate over two, three, four, $500,000, right? So it's like, how do you that
Yeah,
scale
the
and in the
cost benefit
moment?
analysis, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's great. And just to come back maybe to a leadership consultant hat for a second, is that um, as you said, sometimes we can have 50, 100 reports, direct reports, and it's very challenging to be on top of it. And invariably, systematically or culture-wise, we might have our semi-annual, right? Um, uh,
Review.
review. Yes, thank you. Our semi-annual review, right? And review our goals, set new goals. But a lot can transpire in 6 months,
Hmm.
and if you're not one to be proactive and say, hey, like something's going on with Lisa, I need to check in with her or Kim or whatever, right? And feel comfortable having these open conversations and be a little trained and skilled in doing it. Because there is this, we've been years as coaches developing these skills, right? So there's a lot at play here, right? And so, yeah, yeah. And so, did you feel that our coaching approach objectives aligned with the needs of each of the employees?
Hmm.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, was there anything that either of us could have done differently or enhanced for
Um,
make future laser coaching sessions between a leader and an employee? Anything we didn't do or maybe could have done a little better or enhanced a little?
well, not every leader is going to be able to make that decision on the fly with, what I had said with the temp. They might have to go back and crunch the numbers. So
Yeah,
that could have been something. But just for the ability to be able to have, that full coaching
yeah,
session, I wanted to be able to go ahead and offer that.
yeah.
And I think that's something, we could do another one down the road where there are, some pins in tax that still aren't going to be answered, and that some research or something might have to come to fruition before we can actually give a clear answer or determination.
Right, right. And I think in both cases, especially, yeah, I think in both cases, the employee coachee, if you will, came up with the solution. And that's a really important. Now, there will be
Yeah.
times where they're going to just go, they're going to draw a blank. And they're
Right.
going to say, I don't know. You need to help me here. I don't know what the
Yeah.
solution would be. I don't know what the company is prepared to do. And so that's where, again, is a dance, right? You got to go back and
Yeah.
forth and say, well, and my mentor always says, Carm, he's coming into this course as a
Yeah.
co-facilitator. He said, but if you did know what might be a good solution, or if you
Yeah.
had a magic wand and funds or there was no barriers, what might be an ideal solution, right? And that's way then it removes any inhibitions on the employee's behalf to suggest something that they're going to think like there's no way, like I would even suggest bringing on a tent because in this case, I'm pretty bold as an employee. I said,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to have a temp on board, right? But you did let me, I believe it was me, right, who initiated that suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, you did let me bring up the solution, right?
Yep.
And yeah, because again, employees know oftentimes better than managers, right? They see things
Sure.
different. And we can get very tunnel vision sometimes in our role as leaders, right? Or we
Yeah.
feel so constrained that we're just not, be cliche, but think outside the box, right? In terms of what's
Exactly.
possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think this was really great. Is there anything else that we could have done, enhancements, improvements, or maybe to our audience? Let you think about it and certainly send us any feedback. Yeah, send it to me by email, info@workplacewellnesscoe.com. And or this will be posted on YouTube. So hey, post it in the comments in the show
Yeah.
notes. Right? So anything further that any other closing thoughts or things we could have done a little differently, enhanced?
No, I think this was great. I
Yeah,
really appreciate being here and being able to do those different role plays. And obviously, a role play could unravel 25 million different ways because each of us is unique, each scenario, each, company, each employee, each leader, right? So for anyone who's watching, all of these scenarios could unfold so differently based on
yeah,
so many different factors, but hopefully we gave you the framework and the
yeah.
foundation to feel supported in being able to start these types of conversations.
Absolutely. Well said. And I too, yeah, absolutely. So as we wrap up, we want to, both Kim and I want to thank you and really extend our thanks and appreciation for watching. And whether you're a leader or maybe an employee, maybe if you're an employee, hey, be that change agent, bring your concerns to your leader. Don't wait for them, right? And you saw how as an employee, you might engage and initiate that type of conversation. So yeah, be that catalyst for change and the change agent and maybe mobilize the conversation, right? And initiate it. So we do hope you found, everything we shared today in our demos illuminating and inspirational, and hope maybe you've captured some notes that you'll review in the future and put into action. And thanks, Kim, for joining me today. It's always a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to our participation along with the other three facilitators, one being my husband, Carmen Siri, and Gabrielle Bollmeyer, all experienced executive coaches and leaders and leadership consultants. And also be sure to watch episode 6 of our podcast, Executive Wellness Unplugged, because each of the facilitators I just mentioned, we did a panel interview on the topic of leaders as coaches, and it was really a very powerful, really, and it was a nice compliment. These two recordings are nice compliments to each other, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so thanks again, Kim. Thank you
Thank
to
you.
everyone for tuning in. Maybe hopefully we'll see you in our Leader Turn Coach course on March 13th and 20th. You can check it all out on our website, workplacewellnesscoe.com. We will have the links and more information in the show notes of this recording and also the episode 6 of our podcast series. And yeah, just be well. Leaders, take care of yourselves, take care of your employees, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And with that, I'll bid you a good day. Farewell and bye for now.
Bye bye.
Take care, Kim. Talk to you
Bye.
soon. Okay,
Okay.
bye bye.